Today we are going to start class 11 physics, that is chapter number 2, units and measurement. And through this lecture we will discuss about the basic concept, that is what is physical quantity, what is non-physical quantity, and the classification of physical quantity, what is physical unit, its classification, what is derived and fundamental unit, and the system of units, and the basic concept of dimension. At first, we have to learn what is quantities, and that is there are two types of quantities. One that is physical quantity, and the second one that is non-physical quantity. Now, what is physical quantity? That is a quantity which is measurable. Any measurable quantity is known as physical quantity. Suppose, can I measure today temperature? Answer is yes, it can measurable. So temperature is a physical quantity. Similarly, length, mass, velocity, momentum, etc. all are the example of physical quantities. Now, what is non-physical quantity? Non-physical quantity means the quantity which is not measurable. For example, we have to measure sadness, and the answer is we cannot measure it. So, sadness, hate, etc. are an example of non-physical quantity. Okay, suppose we have to measure building, and it is not measurable. We can measure the floors of building, the length and area of building, but how can I measure only building? So it is an example of non-physical quantity. Sadness, beauty, buzz, hate, love, all are the example of non-physical quantity. Types of quantities, and that is physical quantity classified in two categories. Point 1, that is fundamental quantity, and point 2, and that is derived quantity. Now first of all, what is fundamental quantity? And that is the quantity which does not depends on any other physical quantity. That means it is self dependent. For example, length, mass, time, and another 4. Total, there are 7 number of fundamental quantities, and the remaining physical quantities are in the class of derived quantity. And what is derived quantity? The quantity which is derived with the help of ফান্ডামেন্টালের হেল্প নিয়ে যে সমস্ত কোয়ান্টিটিগুলোকে আমরা ডিরাইভ করব, দ্যাট ইজ কল্ড ডিরাইভড কোয়ান্টিটিস. সাপোজ we have to measure speed. So what is speed? What is the formula of speed? The speed equal to distance by time. Here distance means length, that is fundamental, and time also fundamental. So speed is derived using length divided by time. So speed in the example of derived quantity. So finally, except 7 quantities, all the remaining quantities are in the class of derived quantity. So কি পড়লাম? The quantity which is self dependent, that is called the fundamental quantity, and which is depends upon the fundamental quantity, that is called the derived quantity. Let's take the names of fundamental quantities and its unit and symbol. First one, that is length, unit is meter and the symbol is m. Mass, unit kilogram and symbol is kg. Time, unit is second and symbol is s. Electric current, unit is ampere and symbol is capital A because ampere is a scientist name. ওকে, যখনই সায়েন্টিস্ট নেম হবে তখন আমরা সিম্বলটাকে ক্যাপিটাল লেটারে লিখব. নেক্সট, টেম্পারেচার, দ্যাট ইজ কেলভিন, দ্যাট ইজ অলসো ক্যাপিটাল এ. কেলভিন অলসো সায়েন্টিস্ট নেম. লুমিনাস ইন্টেন্সিটি, ক্যান্ডেলা, ইন শর্ট ফর্ম symbol is cd, and the amount of substance mole, that is symbol is mol. There are also two supplementary quantities. One is plane angle and another one is solid angle. Plane angle, for plane angle unit is radian and the symbol is rad, rad, and for solid angle the unit is radian and the symbol is SR. Plane angle means the angle between two axes, that is angle in 2D concept is called the plane angle, and the solid angle means the angle among three axes, that is the angle in 3D concept is called the solid angle. Now we have to learn how to calculate derived quantity, and there are some example. So first one, that is area, and for calculating area the relation is, and the formula is length into breadth, and breadth means there is some length, so the formula is length into length. For length the unit is meter, that is itself fundamental, and there is also another length that is also meter, so final unit of area, that is meter into meter, so that is meter square. So area is an example of derived quantity because meter itself is a fundamental quantity. Similarly for volume, formula is length, breadth and height, so there is triple length, and for triple length meter, meter and meter, so this will be meter cube. This is also an example of derived quantity. Similarly density, density means mass by volume, for mass that is kg, and for volume that is meter cube, so kg per meter cube, that is also an example of derived quantity because kg itself is a fundamental quantity, meter itself is a fundamental quantity. Clear? Similarly, suppose for acceleration, and the formula for acceleration, that is velocity by time, and the unit of velocity, that is meter per second, and by time, that is also second, so the final form of unit of acceleration, that is meter per second square. So this one is also an example of derived quantity, and the remaining example are also like that. At first we have to think, that is what is the formula for calculating a physical quantity, then using this formula, just putting the unit corresponding in the value, and then we will get the unit of that physical quantity. And if the physical quantity unit is derived with the help of fundamental, that means any seven number of fundamental quantities, then this quantity is called the derived quantity. Next topic, that is what is physical unit. What is physical unit? Suppose I say force equal to 10, it is meaningless. But if I say force equal to 10 Newton or 10 dyne, it becomes meaningful. Here, Newton and dyne are the unit of force, and it makes a meaningful value. Only 10 gives a meaningless value, but when I say 10 Newton or 10 dyne, it gives a meaningful value. So, what is physical unit? That is, a physical unit is a standard name which makes a physical quantity meaningful. Without any unit, a physical quantity is meaningless. ফিজিক্যাল কোয়ান্টিটিকে মিনিংফুল করতে গেলে আমাদেরকে একটা স্ট্যান্ডার্ড ফর্ম ইউজ করতে হয়, যেটাকে আমরা বলবো ফিজিক্যাল ইউনিট। নেক্সট, হাউ ক্যান আই ক্লাসিফাই দ্য ফিজিক্যাল ইউনিট? That is, like physical quantity, it also classified in two categories. One is fundamental unit and another one is derived unit. Now what is fundamental unit? And the answer is the unit of fundamental quantities is called the fundamental unit. And as we know that there are 7 fundamental quantities, so the fundamental units are also 7, and they are for mass, that is kg, for length, that is meter, for time, that is second, for electric current, that is ampere, for temperature, Kelvin, for luminous intensity, candela, and finally for amount of substance, that is mole. Now derived unit. What is derived unit? The unit which derived with the help of fundamental quantities is called the derived unit. For example, suppose we have to calculate the unit of velocity or speed, and the formula is distance by time. For measurement distance, we have to use the unit of length, that is meter. which is fundamental, and for time we have to use second, which is also fundamental. So the unit of speed or velocity, that is meter per second, is an example of derived unit, as meter and second both are the example of fundamental unit. Similarly, for example of momentum, that is kg meter per second, product of mass into velocity of a body, and that is momentum, is an also example of derived quantity, as kg itself fundamental, meter fundamental, second also fundamental. So there are several number of quantities, that is the derived quantities. Except 7 quantities, the remaining other quantities all are in the class of derived quantities. To measure all kind of fundamental and derived quantity, a complete set of units used, and that is called the system of units. There are three commonly used system of units. One, CGS system, second, FPS system, and third, that is MKS system. And for CGS system, measurement of length unit is centimeter, measurement of mass, that is gram, and measurement of time, that is second. Similarly, for FPS system, measurement of length, that is foot, measurement of mass, that is pound, and for time second. And finally, for MK system, measurement of length, that is meter, for mass kilogram, and for time, that is second. Here among them, FPS system is an old system. This system is not used nowadays, and it is not a metric system also, but the MK system is called a metric system. Now the question is why? An answer is, this is because of multipliers and submultipliers of their basic units are related to practical units by power of 10. তাহলে কি বোঝাচ্ছে? সাপোজ আমরা মিটার থেকে কিলোমিটার আসবো, আমাকে কি করতে হবে? 10⁻³ দ্যাটস মিন্স 1000 দিয়ে ডিভাইড করতে হবে। অ্যান্ড ধরো আমরা মিটার থেকে সেন্টিমিটারে যাব, কি করতে হবে? 100 বা 10⁻² দিয়ে আমাকে মাল্টিপল করতে হবে। সো আমাকে এখানে মাল্টিপল বা সাবমাল্টিপলগুলো যা হচ্ছে সবই 10⁻⁴ অর্ডারে হচ্ছে। দিস ইজ কল্ড অ্যান মেট্রিক সিস্টেম। সো ফাইনালি কী হলো, আমাদের এপি সিস্টেমটা হলো ওল্ড সিস্টেম, আর তাহলে আমাদের সিস্টেম থাকছে কী কী ইউজ করতে হবে? দ্যাট ইজ সিজিএস সিস্টেম অ্যান্ড এমকেএস সিস্টেম। এবং এই তিনটে সিস্টেমের মধ্যে ইন্টারন্যাশনালি অ্যাকসেপ্টেড যে সিস্টেম, দ্যাট ইজ কল্ড দ্য এমকেএস সিস্টেম। দ্যাটস ওয়াই এমকেএস সিস্টেম is also named as System of International, that is SI system. Now, what are the dimension and their symbol? This is an important part in this chapter, that is what is dimension, what is their symbols, how can I calculate dimension for different physical quantity, like that. How can I calculate it? Length is like a one day thing, say 1 meter, but in case area we have to measure length into breadth, that is 1 meter, and suppose 1 meter, that is meter square. Similarly for volume, length, breadth and height, that is 1 meter, 1 meter, 1 meter, that means meter cube. So basically what is the dimension? That is the power of meter tells you what is dimension. And what is dimension? That is the power to which the fundamental quantities must be raised to represent that quantity completely. কি আমরা কত পাওয়ার পাচ্ছি? লেন্থের জন্য এল এর উপরে পাওয়ার পাচ্ছি কত? 1। এরিয়ার জন্য পাওয়ার কত? 2 এল স্কোয়ার। অ্যান্ড ভলিউমের জন্য পাওয়ার কত? এল কিউ, দ্যাট ইজ 3। এই পাওয়ারটা রিপ্রেজেন্ট করছে আমাদের কাছে ডাইমেনশন। এবং ডাইমেনশনটাকে বেসিক্যালি আমরা কোন কোন টার্মসে ইউজ করব? লেন্থ, মাস এম অ্যান্ড টাইম টি, এম এল টি এই তিনটে রেসপেক্টে, এই তিনটে টার্মসের রেসপেক্টে আমাকে একটা ডাইমেনশন জেনারেলি রিপ্রেজেন্ট করতে হয়। অ্যান্ড ডাইমেনশন আর ডিনোটেড উইথ স্কোয়ার ব্র্যাকেট। Clear? So there are 7 fundamental quantities and the corresponding dimension are given below. That is for length L, for mass M, for time T, for electric current that is capital A, for temperature capital K, for luminous intensity small letter that is CD, and for the amount of substance that is mole MOL. So basically we must keep in mind that is the 7 fundamental quantities dimension, and using this dimension we can derive the dimensional formula for any physical quantity. And now question is how to calculate the dimension for derived quantities. Here some example are given. Suppose for volume, and volume means length, breadth and height. That is for length L, breadth L and height L. So its dimension is LQ, and there is no function of M and T. That's why the power of M and T will be 0, and the dimensional formula for volume will be M0 LQ T0. Now for similarly density, the formula is mass by volume. For mass dimension is M, and for volume dimension is LQ. So final form will be M L to the power minus 0. When LQ will be in the upper portion, then this power will be minus 3, and here function of t is also not dependent. That's why the power of t will be 0. So the final form of density will be M L to the power minus 3 T to the power 0. Now next, that is the speed or velocity, and the formula is distance by time or displacement by time. Distance or displacement both means length L, that is L, and for time T. So final form is M to the power 0. M is not dependent, so the power of M is 0, L, and when T will be in upper portion, then the power of T will be minus 1. There are also some example. Point 1, that is acceleration, and the formula of acceleration is velocity by time. Now previously we calculate, that is the formula of velocity is distance by time, that means L t minus 1, and for time dimension is t. So upper portion dimension is L t minus 1 and the lower portion is t. When the lower portion t will be in upper portion, then this one will be t to the power minus 1, and already in upper portion there is t to the power minus 1. So t to the power minus 1, t to the power minus 1, so this one will be t to the power minus 2, and the final form of dimension and formula for acceleration will be m to the power 0, as m is not dependent, L t to the power minus 2. Next, momentum. What is momentum? Momentum means the product of mass and velocity of a body. So the formula is mass into velocity. For mass dimension m, and for velocity dimension lt minus 1. So dimensional formula for momentum, that is mlt minus 1. Next, force. Force means F equal to m into a, product of mass into acceleration. So for mass m, and just see the upper portion, that is acceleration is lt minus 2. So final form is mlt minus 2. That is the dimension formula for force. And what will be the dimension for pressure? Pressure means force by area. So force dimension ke area দিয়ে divide koro, mlt minus 2 divided by area means length into breadth, that is L square. So when L square will be in the upper portion, this one will be আপার পোর্শন দেখো এল এর পাওয়ারে 1 আছে আর লোয়ারে আছে এল এর স্কোয়ার। সো স্কোয়ার উপরে গেলে এল টু দি পাওয়ার মাইনাস 2, মাইনাস 2 থেকে যদি আমি 1 বাদ দিই, দ্যাট ইজ এল টু দি পাওয়ার মাইনাস 1. সো দ্য ডাইমেনশনাল ফর্মুলা ফর প্রেশার ইজ এম এল টু দি পাওয়ার মাইনাস 1 টি টু দি পাওয়ার মাইনাস 2. ক্লিয়ার? Suppose we have to find out the dimensional formula of capital G, that is gravitational constant. So what is the process? The process is, at first we have to find out the formula from where capital G can be calculated. And আমরা প্রত্যেকেই জানি সেটা কি, যে from gravitational force F equal to G m1 m2 by r square. So from this equation, what will be the value of G? The value of G will be F r square by m1 m2. এখন আমাকে কি করতে হবে, প্রত্যেকের ডাইমেনশনটা বসিয়ে দিতে হবে। প্রত্যেকের ডাইমেনশন বসাও। ফর এফ এম এল টি মাইনাস টু আর স্কোয়ার, আর ইজ হেয়ার ডিস্টেন্স, সো এল স্কোয়ার এম ওয়ান এম টু, দ্যাট ইজ এম ইন্টু এম। অ্যান্ড ফাইনালি এটা সলভ করে কি আসবে, এম টু দি পাওয়ার মাইনাস ওয়ান এল কিউ টি টু দি পাওয়ার মাইনাস টু। তাহলে কি নিয়ম দাঁড়াচ্ছে, তোমাকে যে কোনো ডাইমেনশন বার করতে দিলে ফার্স্টে তোমাকে যেটা জানতে হবে তার বার করার জন্য ফর্মুলা। এবার সেই ফর্মুলার থেকে প্রত্যেকের ডাইমেনশনগুলো তুমি বসিয়ে দিলেই যেটা ডাইমেনশন বার করতে দিয়েছে সেটা বার করে নিতে পারবে। Still now, we find the dimension of physical quantity which are all in terms of m, l and t. Now suppose we have to find out the dimension of charge. What will be the answer? Answer is, at first we have to find out the formula for calculating charge. এবং আমরা প্রত্যেকেই জানি the formula is current equal to charge by time. So charge equal to current into time. Now current is a fundamental quantity whose dimension is capital A, and for time that is capital T. So the dimension of electric charge will be A into T. And what will be the dimensional formula? That is, here the function of m and l is not dependent, so the power of m and l will be 0, and the final form will be m to the power 0 l to the power 0 t into a. Similarly, what will be the dimension of electrical potential? So the formula is work by charge. Now the dimension of work is m l square t minus 2. The dimension of charge is at. So when at will be in the upper portion, then final form will be m l square t to the power minus 3 a to the power minus 1. Similarly, the dimension of resistance, resistance means the potential difference by current according to Ohm's law, v equal to r into I. That is r equal to v by I. V is the potential difference and I is the current. Now potential difference এর ডাইমেনশন দেখো একটু আগে ক্যালকুলেট করলাম, বসিয়ে দাও। কারেন্টের ডাইমেনশন কত, a, বসিয়ে দাও। যখন এটাকে উপরে নিয়ে চলে যাবে, ফাইনাল ফর্ম কি এসে দাঁড়াবে, দ্যাট ইজ এম এল স্কোয়ার টি টু দি পাওয়ার মাইনাস 3 এ টু দি পাওয়ার মাইনাস 2। সো রিমেনিং যে পোর্শনগুলো আছে একই রকমভাবে সেম মেথডে সলভ করে নাও। So solve the dimensional formula for all types of physical quantities and check your understanding level. This is all about the basic concept about dimension and the application of dimension, importance of dimension, etc., which will be discussed in the next lecture. So this is all about today class. Thank you.